Well, we're having a slow day today so far, and I don't care. First of all, my alarm, which is set to go off every day, doesn't go off at weekends, and I'd forgotten that it was the weekend, so I was working by Andrew's alarm, which goes off later. It's 8 o'clock, basically. We're about to leave, but we're sitting here. I bought this yesterday to have for my breakfast, and it's very fine. It's a chocolate banana corny big bar. And we've got coffee from the restaurant downstairs, which we're eating. We've got our windows open out onto the church, which is really nice. And all is well. We've got about 14 miles today, going to Ledigos. Don't know anything really about the stretches, except that there aren't many stops along the way. So I think there is, at some point, there's a little oasis bar. So maybe we'll stop there. I think that's around about halfway. But as for the terrain, who knows? I don't know. We'll find out. Apparently today is just going wonderfully well. When I said it was 8 o'clock earlier, I didn't mean 8 o'clock. I thought Andrew had said it was 8 o'clock, and I just trusted that. It's in fact just approaching 20 past 7, and this is about 20 minutes after I last spoke to you. So we're now about to leave, and it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was, and I didn't even really care then. It bodes well, doesn't it? Well, it's now 20 to 8 and we are on our way. We were just saying the inside of the Hostel La Corte, where we were staying, was like an Escher sort of painting, drawing, with staircases going up and down and round. And we don't quite know where our heads are this morning. Andrew thought all day yesterday, he thought that it was Saturday and it was actually Friday. Then we just forgot that it was Saturday, and I forgot that that would have an impact on my alarm. Now Andrew feels like it's Sunday and he thinks he's going to be thrown off all day. We don't seem to know what time it is. You start wondering whether it matters, but it does matter when you're sort of racing against the sun a bit. Maybe we're both a bit tired today, we'll see. It's a bit of a change from yesterday where I was bouncing along just singing. Yeah, but today I don't think there's going to be very much to see in Ledigos, because it's just a little, by the look of it, a little sort of hamlet, maybe a small village. They're often larger than I expect them to be, of course. But I don't think there'll be, not like here where there are significant sort of museums and cathedrals and what have you to see. So who would have thought yesterday on our way in to Carrión de los Condes that we would be behind the same two gentlemen on our way out, and they're photographing the pilgrim to Santiago, 401 kilometres. I'm stalking you. I'm not really. I stalk stalks. I saw yesterday that there was a park some way down from the town hall, and we hope to get down to it, but there's only so much you can do. So I think we're now walking along the side of it, and it's actually a river. It looks really nice. I'm about to go over a bridge. I can see other pilgrims going over the bridge too. Well, that sign over there is possibly an explanation for the name of the town, Rio Carrión, the River Carrión. And there's more. I didn't know about that church either, and that location. How pretty. Carrión de los Condes. We hope for you a buen camino, a good way. So this hotel, the Real Monasterio San Zoilo, was recommended to me by someone, but I had the booking in place here already. And I thought it looked a lovely place that we were staying at, and the people were nice, and they'd been really helpful about the pillows. Actually, that was the only place where, with my need for extra pillows,
they'd actually already put them in the room for me, and they sort of met me and said, "We've already done your pillows." And it was so nice and central. I think if we'd been down here, we wouldn't have been able to just walk out the door and wander around the way we have been. So, and actually it was really cheap where we were last night for a room of that standard, I think. But if you're after a place that's a little more luxurious and you want to be down here on this side, that's definitely a place to consider. Well, we're now on what's described as one of the longest and lonesomest of the sections of the Camino. We're overlapping the Roman Way, which goes from Bordeaux to Astorga, and we've got 15 kilometres of, I think, probably this road. Yeah, I had thoughts yesterday about roads and why are they boring. Maybe they're not boring, maybe it's all in the mind. Repetition, there's a thought. But maybe there will be some differences along the route. And it's something different to do. The fact that it's quite a modern road as well, it looks like quite a fast road. Speed, there's a thing. The speedy pilgrim. And I wouldn't say it's lonesome. We've got people behind, we've got people ahead. It was probably more lonesome yesterday. We were on that one stretch in the morning where there wasn't anyone else. Anyway, I'll show you what's up ahead. Hola.
Buen camino.
Buen camino.
Buen camino.
Andrew's shell doesn't like being the right way up. It's a subversive shell. Nice little stream. I think today it's going to be a case of, oh, something different. Look, it's pretty. It is pretty. Something exciting's about to happen. We're not going to be on the road. There's a sign, Camino this way, and the road goes that way, and we go left, and the road goes right. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Si vuole passare? Si vuole passare? Sì, sì, sì.
It is 9:15 and we have already had to stop and put on sunblock and take off the fleece, and I think you can probably tell what sort of a day it's going to be by the time at which you have to do that. There have been other days when it's been well into the afternoon before we've had to do that, and today 9:15, it's going to be a hot one. Sometimes you get used to looking ahead, and then out of the corner of your eye you see something a bit strange. I wonder what the story is here.
Yeah, it's very different. Like I remember going to university, like definitely.
It's like one of those dog toys where the chipmunks pop out, except in this case it's little sparrows popping out. I think they're trying to mate as well. They were jumping on top of each other a moment ago. There's one. Peepo! Are they sparrows? I don't think they are sparrows. Well, there is an unmarked on the map little oasis coming up. Weren't expecting this so soon, and we're sort of thinking we'd be quite happy to keep going, except that Andrew wants to take the bottom half of his trousers off because they're convertible trousers and it's got hot. So, and that will require sun cream too. So I'm thinking I'll get a coffee. So we've stopped for more than just coffee. We've got Neapolitanas, and loads of people have stopped, and we've been chatting to a lady who's just there, who's from Portland. They've got loads here. They've got sandwiches, bocadillos, obviously, tortillas, all sorts. Really nice place to stop, and it's just surrounded by fields. So we were just talking to the mother and daughter from Portland in the US, and they've done it previously in sections, but now they're doing the whole Camino in one go. And they're going to be staying in Ledigos, where we're staying. So we might have a chat with them later. It was really nice just sitting for a while and exchanging stories, soaking up a little sun, resting the legs. Hola. So it probably isn't broccoli, but it looks like broccoli. Well, Andrew has already used picture this on that plant I just showed you, and apparently it's villous deadly carrot, and even contact with, did you say the root, Andrew?
The root can cause major issues with the skin.
Even contact with the root can cause major issues with the skin. I'm glad I didn't get so close to it. Certainly never eat it thinking it's broccoli. And here's another one. This time with a snail on it. Snails are presumably immune to deadly carrot. Deadly carrots just waiting by the side of the road like bandits. We're not the only ones. It's deadly. Deadly carrot, apparently. I think here it looks a bit more deadly. So we've discovered that all of these plants here at the side, the ones that look not at all like that deadly carrot, are indeed also deadly carrots, that the part that sprouts comes up from the middle of them. I just think it sounds like something from a really bad B-movie horror film, Revenge of the Deadly Carrot. Snowmen must live in fear. Hey, hey. On a tractor, coming up. So they've chopped down a lot of the deadly carrot on this side. So we've now found out that we've passed the point on the Buen Camino app where it said there would be an oasis where we could get food and things, which means that the one that we stopped at was the only one. And we very nearly, because we weren't up to the point on the map on Buen Camino, we very nearly didn't stop because we thought, well, this is a bit early, we'll go on to the one that's on the map. But no, that was it. So we're now feeling really glad that we did stop when we did, because it made a difference. We felt fresh after it. One thing I will say, I've seen one group of men that had stopped at the side. They were going down into the trees, obviously needed a comfort break. Along here, if you're a woman, it's not necessarily the easiest of places, particularly when there's a procession of pilgrims around. Fortunately, I'm okay right now, but it is something I'm thinking about, particularly knowing there's all this deadly carrot around. Yeah. So I think there was a building back there and an area on the opposite side of it where I guess maybe women stop. But other than that, there's not much. So as well as the sound of our feet and the rustling of the trees and the stone chats and skylarks, I regularly have the sound of the Andrew bird. It goes something like, I think that's a yellow trefoil. We wait a little. It's broom, also known as English broom, yellow broom, stony broom, witch's broom, beson broom, broomity broom, broom broom, beep beep, and just broom. And I don't actually know what he photographed. I do know broom when I say it, actually. And another one. 6 years ago, he had no interest in any kind of smartphone. It's good, really. In amongst all of the jollity, I am actually trying to find some space to think my own thoughts, which I think is important on this stretch. I think if you're on your own, it's a very good time to do it. Well, actually I was wrong, there is another oasis. This one is further on from the one marked on the Buen Camino app. Canada Real Leonesa. Area of rest. So I don't think you'll be able to see this, but the bird approaching the left of those trees, it's just about to go over them now, is a male hen harrier. It's just gone down. It's now flying toward the right of the two trees. It's gone in front of the tree. Yeah.
What an amazing thing.
Huh. So it's come closer, it's now just about to go over that bush. And over the second of the bushes. And in front of that tree. Somebody walking past with music. Oh, it's ooh. It's lovely to see. So while we were at the services back there, I was talking to the lady from Canada and the lady from Derbyshire and then more recently Australia, and we were all discussing the situation as regards comfort stops for ladies along the way here. Andrew spotted another deadly carrot. Yeah, there isn't really much. And that second break that we went to with the buildings, there isn't a toilet there. I think people are using the area behind the wall. Best if they try and clean up after themselves. Well, this is more the way I imagined that the meseta would be. Although, even now the horizon isn't all that far away because there is a slight rise there. So they're locust trees, also known as false acacias. Plenty of hay bales. We're watching over to the left, what we think is the female hen harrier. But in the meantime, I'm struck by the dust that's flying up behind the tractor. At times it looks almost like a dust devil, and it isn't. It's just a farmer going about his business. You might see over by the hay bales that's where the hen harrier is. There's a gentleman up ahead from Brazil, and we were talking to him briefly. Yeah, he's a software developer, but he's wondering about a change. I asked if we were biologists, I guess because we're often to be seen with a monocular or looking at plants or whatever, stopping all the time to take photos. So I'm going to do that thing where I try to record what I'm thinking about as I walk. The thing is, I'm not entirely sure that I'm thinking about much. It's almost as though there's an emptying of mind. Like my mind is just emptying itself. I'm not thinking of, certainly not really thinking of work, maybe fleetingly. I'm thinking about what I'm looking at. I'm thinking about... Got slight pains behind each knee, which I think probably comes from hamstrings and glutes. Every so often I kind of put my arms out to the side, because then I can double check that I'm carrying the weight of my backpack on my hips and that my hips are sort of working properly. Core strength, there we go. We're just coming into a little town now. I think it's Calzadilla de la Cueza. So I'm thinking about things to do with where we're going. I don't know what else I'm thinking. I'm looking out for things. I feel almost empty, but not in a bad way at all. I don't know whether you'll pick it up, but there's a little bird on top of a sod of earth there. It's just flown off. It looked like a type of plover, I think, and it had a different song altogether. It was sort of can't do it, I shouldn't even try. A little whistle. I might look it up later on. They're advertising massages there. 200 metres on the main street, number 20. So we're in Calzadilla de la Cueza. So we've got about 6 kilometres before we get to where we're staying at Ledigos. We've decided not to stop, we're going to keep going. We've got drinks with us, we're feeling all right. A lot of people had stopped there, though it's probably quite a sensible thing to do, really. A slightly more imaginative stalk over there. It's not on a building, it's just on the top of a big pole by some trees. The river Cueza tells Calzadilla de la Cueza. So I was talking a little earlier about what I think about while I'm walking. Because I think sometimes the camera doesn't pick up more than what you can see. It's hard to remember the scents and the exact colours. I guess because the camera sees them in a different way. The sensations. It's breezy, fairly cool on the skin. There's still that earthy smell of a very slight tannins, not as much as there's sometimes maybe more of a smell of hay now. The constant shushing of the trees, which you can probably hear anyway. Stones underfoot. Every so often your feet wobble slightly. The breeze is really refreshing. It's almost like being in a warm sea. The waves just washing over you, but very, very gently. The temperature's very pleasant, particularly in the shade. The sun's behind us as we walk, and if anything it gets your left side. I know it's one of the things that people say to make sure you wear sunscreen, particularly on your left side, because you can end up with a one-sided tan doing the Camino, walking from east to west with the sun always to the south. But other than that, what else do I think about? As always, I think about home. I think about how strange it is to suddenly be transplanted here and to feel at home here and to feel that in some way this is more natural for me, particularly with the aches and pains that I have. Often I find it more problematic when I'm at home and I'm having to be stationary because of the effect of gravity and just being still and having to prop myself up in one position. But actually moving, although it's tiring and I can get problems with muscles going into spasm and so on, generally I feel better. I've had a lot less neck pain, for example, while I've been doing this than I do at home. And actually, I have systems like a treadmill that I use at home, but it's not quite the same as walking on a wobbly path, because a wobbly path makes you constantly counterbalance for things, and your feet are moving, your ankles are moving at different angles. So there's a lot of sort of physical awareness. In terms of anything more, to do with thoughts, anything more to do with the psychology of being here, I find that interesting too, what happens as you walk, where your thoughts go. And that's something I want to sort of get some time to try and work it out when I write. But I haven't really had time to do that. I'm kind of barely writing down the facts of where we've been. There's this sense of things constantly getting away from you. I guess you are literally walking away from many things, passing through, like the birds. There's another stalk over there at the top of a telegraph pole in the middle of a field. Things like that just take your mind. There's another stalk. I'll show you. It's just there. There's a telegraph pole with a stalk on it. I won't zoom in. You can imagine it. It's a very fine nest. I think it's one of the best I've seen. So yeah, things like that. I think about occasionally the idea of carrying things. I'd like at some point to do the PCT, but I don't think I could carry enough. Partly because of my health problems. As it is, what I'm carrying is sort of pushing me to a limit. Whether I would then strengthen up and be able to go beyond that, I don't know. I suspect, although of course I don't know, that a lot of other pilgrims, we're passing a lot of people do this in their retirement because they've got the time to do it, they've got the money to do it, and they take it steadily, but they look quite solemn. And maybe that's just how you look when you're walking along and you're kind of thinking, deep in thought. Maybe they're having conversations when we're not coming up to them. I don't know. But is there a solemnity to this? Probably there is. You don't make light of it. Well, I do, but not overly. I do take it seriously as well. On the other hand, I think some people do just come to get out, get moving, meet people, and there's, you know, that's valid as well, I suppose. I have no idea how pilgrims in the medieval period coped. I guess they probably had much better knowledge of medicinal cures and herbs and things, many of which probably didn't work, but maybe basic common sense knowledge of how to treat things was more widespread. The idea of walking all of this in a great big brown monkish cloak with a staff and, I don't know, leather boots, flagellating oneself. I think a lot of the time, even though we're both walking well, there should be no reason to be doubting my own ability to keep going. I'm still, almost step by step, sort of congratulating myself for it, because I'm not entirely sure that I can. I'm waiting for something to break, and yet I'll still run down hillsides, because I can, and it's good. There's a sort of celebration of being alive, being here. One thing that I think takes the thoughts is the fact that one's feet strike out a rhythm. So you end up with music in your head, if you're not listening to music, which some people do, of course. At the moment I have Bella Ciao again. Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao, Ciao. And it tends to sort of become a drum beat, keeps you going. Arrows going all over the place. So it's been quite a climb up to here. We've been walking along this flat area for quite some way. Strange little vapour trails from the Everplains in the sky. They seem to just appear and then disappear. Presuming they are vapour trails, the one at the top certainly is. And we've got this brim around us. It's very exposed. And it is hot. We're now at 1:15 and we should be nearing Ledigos. I imagine hope we'll arrive at about 1:45. So we've got about half an hour left, I think. Give or take. And we're thinking maybe, because we've got our longest air ball tomorrow, which currently I don't like the thought of that because my legs are hurting a bit. I'm a bit footsore. The backs of my knees hurt. I'm probably a bit dehydrated actually, although I've still got a bit of water with electrolytes left. But the plan is that we'll probably have quite a large meal when we get to Ledigos if we can, and then just have something light later on so that we can get an early night and get a really early start tomorrow. Fingers crossed. As we've got 17.8 miles tomorrow. It's about 33 kilometres I think. And we're going on the Roman route to Calzadilla de los Hermenios, which has very little shade. And after, I can't remember whether we go through Sagun or not, but there's a final town where some people, probably the majority of people, will go straight on to Sagun, and we'll turn right and go on the old Roman route, which is apparently the most remote. So there won't be much on the way there, and it'll probably be very exposed. And it looks like it's going to be a really hot day, as today is. So we'd like to be arriving ideally around this time, which means getting out really early. And I think to do that for me in particular, it's best if I don't have a big meal right before bed. It doesn't make me sleepy. It makes me want to walk. Well, what are we doing, you might ask? Here we are. I'll show you our location. Sitting down with my backpack still attached at the side of the way, which is up there. Ledigos, I think, is just over there, over that way. Twinges in my legs, and we've not got far to go, so I was saying we'd probably arrive at about 1:45. I think probably a lot of people do this. You know, maybe it was a good idea, that stop further back that we didn't do. I just think that sometimes if you don't just take a little break, maybe you'll pay for it. So I don't want to do any injuries to myself. And I think when I get tired, it's probably true for everyone, when I get tired, you start walking a bit sloppily, and that's when you can have an accident and really injure yourself. So, it's a lovely spot. One thing I haven't mentioned actually is insects. There were loads of little insects around. Big sort of beetles that we see at times. There was one in our room a couple of nights ago, which I tried to film. I don't know whether it all worked out. And hoverflies. Lots of hoverflies. There was one on my hand while I was filming earlier on. I just ignored it. It sat there for a while. One's just gone past. It was on the microphone a moment ago. Butterflies, lots of them. Every so often we see ants. And then little flies buzzing around. But isn't it peaceful here? So Andrew has informed me that we are in the shade of a black cherry tree.
Would you like to know more?
So Andrew also informs me that this cherry tree here, the black cherry, if you break one of the twigs, it releases a small amount of cyanide, which puts off herbivores from eating it. Not surprisingly, yes. Must be a very small amount. I mean, people don't die from accidentally snapping a cherry tree.
No, and it's only immature twigs that do that, so it's when it's growing, I guess.
Oh, only immature twigs. Well, there we go. We were just talking to some people as they passed, and they asked if this was a hostel. And I said yes. And he said, how much? At €3 a night. And I asked if that was it with dinner. I said, no, that's extra, I'm afraid. So he's gone on.
But actually, if I do it more immediately, I'm more likely to remember them anyway, to be honest.
Well, I have to say, what a difference a day makes. Just 4 little minutes. What a difference a day makes. And the difference is... I've got my legs back ready. Ledigos. Here we come. So to put things in perspective, we were just at the top of that hill by the bend. And this is actually Ledigos here. Which is why, in a way, I was a little reluctant to have a little stop there when we're probably very close to a restaurant. But actually, it's only 20 to 2 now. So we are actually reaching there. I said 1:45, like 1:45, and it's now 1:40. So we've actually made good time, even with that little stop. But the pain in the back of my knees isn't there now. So it was worth it to stop. So here we are, entering Ledigos. A lot of people will go on to Terradio de los Templarios, which is the next village over. I think that's the one we could see at the top of the hill when we were further back. We're staying at the bottom one here, Albergue La Morena. Little sparrows carrying little bits of grass.
Albergue de la Morena. It looks as though there's a restaurant. Yep, this is where we're at. Well, we've changed tables because we're chasing the shade, and we've ordered from a very, very nice looking menu. They do paella, which they serve in frying pans. It's a lovely little, rather large dog down there. He's been sniffing around our table, but we're ordering from the menu of the day instead of getting the paella. And I think it's going to be really, really nice. We're going to have a big meal early, and then a little bit maybe later. So the part where I said that the food sounded as though it was going to be really good and that what we'd seen other people eating looked good, this is a duck pate, and they describe it as a duck pate cake, and this is a chickpea salad. It's a really good place. It's called La Morena. So they brought us this little dish of lettuce and olives, but the lettuce is very, very lettucey lettuce. It's strange. It's lovely and almost like it's got lime as well as olive oil in with it, I think. Very nice. Salt and olive oil and maybe lime. So today I've decided I'm going to have red meat. I've ordered the roast lamb, and it does look very, very fine. So this is our room at La Morena. Got a lovely view over the courtyard. That's the restaurant down there. Out to the hills. And then it's a really nice bed. They put fresh fruit out for us. We've got our own bathroom, which is through there.